tape.
Live now.
Oh, let me tell you something. Jerry Seinfeld, it was great having you here today.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. You just close the door on your way out.
And Mamie Van Doren, you couldn't be beat.
Yeah,
you were way out front.
I hope you all caught that. It was really great.
Yeah.
and yeah. Oh,
and Donald Trump just gave his concession speech.
Yeah, it was. Right here, right out the window there.
Right here.
And the craziest thing was that somebody told me that we didn't have any film in the camera. Take the cap off the camera. All right. Well, it's great.
As we were trying to say,
I was
before we were so rudely interrupted. We were rudely interrupted. It was fake rudeness, is what it was. Okay.
Yes.
Now we're back. I hope.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and our friend.
You have to make that bigger.
Huh?
I can't see that.
Okay, we're there, but we're not.
Thumbnail.
But not for us.
We're here, but we're not all there.
What else is new? Okay, so
it kind of looks like us.
I tell you what that was. That was the ghost of this guy. He does this.
Yeah.
Our good old friend Al Simons. On his funeral, I had a funeral service for him. He was a funny guy, and I did this as a tribute to him for the funeral little service we had here at the house, and I did him as like Citizen Kane with a cigarette, kind of like FDR, and he looked like FDR. We used to joke about that, and we used to do imitations. I hope you can see that was Al Simons.
Hold it tight, hold it steady. Yeah, just you don't have to move it. Yeah, that's what he looked like.
And
good friend of ours.
Yeah, he was a good comedian, a caricaturist, an artist, a friend of ours. Mm-hmm. Those of you around Richmond for a while, you might remember him doing your caricature.
Yeah.
Out on Monument Avenue or anywhere. Yeah. And he was a funny guy.
This is weird here. Something weird about it. There we go. That's no.
I'll get it.
He's the technician here. Yeah, that looks good.
I am the director. I am Eric von Stroheim.
Yeah.
Eric, we will get the picture.
The last shot, that looks great. The last shot looked like it was filmed at a 7-Eleven in the corner.
Oh, you know where I bought this camera? They had a great deal. They had a good deal on these cameras.
Yeah.
No, it's a good camera.
Yeah, it is a good camera.
But anyway, it's a Logitech 920 something HD. Yeah. It's a good camera. It's HD. Yeah. So, and there was Al. We did Al.
We had a when I was in photography, we had a saying: "There's no bad cameras, only bad photographers."
Yeah. So we were doing stuff. Whatever we were talking, but just pick it up.
Oh, we were talking about maracas, and I think the last thing I stated was.
Do your maracas. That'd go good. Carmen, Electra, not Carmen. That was from.
I feel like a Bugs Bunny here.
Yeah,
so I need a dress.
Why do you want with a rabbit?
Now, tell us about that wonderful music. I know what it's from. You tell everyone. Carmen.
It's from Georges Bizet. Yeah. Carmen. It's a very famous opera, but he composed many others, but he died almost. He finally got a great hit, and then he died.
Yes.
And even one of his symphonies wasn't found until the 20th century. Yeah. He had hidden it away. He was a very good composer, but he had bad luck.
A one-hit wonder, but what a hit.
Yeah.
For the greatest hit of all.
He did write other good stuff, but you have listen to WCVE FM.
George Bizet.
And they play it. And his first symphony he wrote as a student.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant.
Yeah.
But he had hidden it away. He didn't think it was good enough.
Yeah. Do you know that they made a movie? Stanley Kubrick wanted to make a film version of
Here
Carmen.
we go with Stanley Kubrick.
But I mean...
I got his cardboard cutout.
But what happened was, it finally was made by Francesco Tosi, I think, and Rosie, I think is and it had Placido Domingo as the lead. And
I got to see these movies.
And what happened was, I don't think it was a big, even though it was Carmen, and he did great, but he was a little too old to be playing the young corporal. He was like 55 years old.
Yeah, Don Jose,
Don
or whatever,
Jose, yeah.
whatever the name is.
Yeah.
I'm Don Jose, and I like to punch the bull.
He stabs
him. Yeah, I know the Spike Jones version very well.
Well, I thought the words to that went Toreador, don't spit on the floor. Use a cuspidor. That's what it's for.
That's the Harpo Marx version. But you couldn't understand what he said. But another one is Carmen, my darling, please marry me. You will be my little bumblebee. You'll be the honey that will sweeten our lives. Instead of children, we'll both have hives.
I love Carmen is something you can never get tired of. Oh, all the music in Carmen is also used in the Bad News Bears movies. They even when they made a remake of it, they used the same Carmen music.
I don't know.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Although Carmen, the plot of it has nothing to do with the Bad News Bears, but I guess the filmmakers like the music so much.
You know, it's grand opera, but where does it take place? Yeah. Where does it take place?
Where?
In a cigarette factory.
That's right.
It's got this modern element to it.
Gypsies, yeah, and they're Spanish, and yet
gypsies?
And yet the play Carmen is gypsy, and the play is the music. Everything is French. The lyrics and everything.
Well, it was produced in France.
Yeah,
that's why.
But it
was for French audience.
In other words, you have the Spanish people singing, and they're all singing in French.
Well, it was right next door. It's like as if here in Virginia we produced an opera about North Carolina.
Yeah,
that would work. I could go with that.
They're all eating barbecue and
It's like who's the great guitar banjo picker guy from Virginia that you met him? Roy Clark.
Roy Clark, yeah.
Yeah, he used to talk about, in Virginia, I really love North Carolina, but we do have a history of making jokes about the people next door.
Yeah.
And like we make jokes about Hopewell. You're from Hopewell. I love Hopewell, but we did make jokes about, you won the prize. Yeah. You won a prize. The first prize was a week in the Hopewell. The second prize was 2 weeks.
My dad had a joke about Hopewell was they used to have a curfew in Hopewell. And at 9 o'clock every night, they would sound the alarm so everyone would go indoors. And they stopped doing it because it was waking everybody up. Yeah. I come from a small town.
You're part of the lower third of the Tri-Cities area.
Yeah, I always fancy myself a city slicker, but I'm actually from a smaller town than most presidents pretend they're from. Also, I can tell you a whole bunch of stuff. Hopewell. We had.
But there's another city down there too. It's called Fort Lee. It's like. Yeah, Hopewell's right between, right between Fort Lee. Yeah, well, a lot of soldiers.
Soldiers do.
I did a play.
No one's from Fort Lee.
I did a play down there.
They were stationed there.
It's like a city,
It is.
And then there's up here's the swamp. There's some really cool swamps down there. But you got Petersburg, you got Fort Lee, the swamps, and right jammed in the middle is where? Hopewell. Yeah. And it's a cute little place.
You have a place called Charles City, not too far, and they still have a ferry that you can go on, park your car on and drive across, which is kind of
cool. Is it still there?
It was there 5 years ago.
Well, there's a big bridge they built, the George Harrison Bridge.
Yeah, the George Harrison Bridge.
Is it George?
My favorite Beatle. Yeah.
Or is it? No.
William, my least favorite Beatle.
It's named after the president that was in the White House for 30 days.
Oh, William Henry Harrison.
We should live so long.
Tibby Canoe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was born down there at Berkeley Plantation, but there's a big bridge there, Harrison Bridge.
Yeah.
What was it? William M. Harrison? No, what was his name?
William Henry Harrison. Yes.
Yeah, William H.
He's the guy who, in March, there was a big snowstorm and gave his. He was the oldest guy. I'm told today he was the oldest guy ever elected president. He was 66 years old, and he gave this speech in a snowstorm for like 3 hours in March when they had the inauguration. And then a month later, I think he got. Yeah,
he probably caught pneumonia right after the speech. Yeah. Never really did much, but I got a friend who's a direct descendant of him. Yeah. His name is Bill Harrison.
Bill Harrison.
Yeah. Cool guy. Very funny guy. Yeah. Kind of conservative in his life, but to talk to him, he's hilarious. Yeah. And he's musical, and he worked down at DuPont with my dad. But, I mean, he could have gone on radio or whatever. And he was kind of like, what's his name? Yeah. I can't remember nothing tonight.
Jackie Gleason.
He's kind of like Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd. Yeah.
It's just really good. Jackie. Norton.
You know, Dan Aykroyd was the first guy to master the imitation of Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy? Yeah. I always did Jimmy.
Yeah.
My brother Billy. Hand me that can of Brother Billy.
Oh, yeah. Everyone who does an imitation of Jimmy Carter is doing Dan Aykroyd doing Jimmy Carter.
Well, no, I just did. I never did know he did. Well, yeah, he did do it. Yeah,
he did have a mustache and wouldn't shave the mustache for it.
Billy.
Very delicious beer.
But he did that routine on Saturday Night Live where there was he had to talk down this nuclear physicist. I am a nuclear physicist. Yeah. And then he got indoctrinated with nuclear stuff. Yeah. What do you call it?
The fallout.
The fizz. Yeah. And he grew real big.
The raging colossal
president. Yeah. He's on the outside. And then he ends up hooking up with the black maid who also got a dose of it.
Who was Garrett Morris dressed as a woman.
Garrett Morris, and they're outside the window. That was cool.
Why is a man dressed as a woman much funnier than just a woman?
If you dress a woman up as a man, it does not as nearly as funny. But the other night I had a weird experience. I watched PBS News. Yeah.
You're the one.
Yeah.
I love the PBS News because I put on my pajamas, have a drink, and then it puts me right to sleep. I never have to wake up.
I tell you, there's no commercials, and you get a lot more information. Yeah. But they had Amy Walter. Yeah. Who's one of the political commentators. Obviously very lesbian. She wears these seersucker suits and they slick down the hair.
I like her already.
She's like that. Well, I always had a little problem with her. I said I didn't like her smile. I'm staring at her. And nothing wrong with her, but I kind of, she irks me a little bit. Then the other night during the election, counting all the election, she came back to her seat and her hair was messed up.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like this. I said, wow, I'm in love. I was attracted to her then.
Oh, yeah.
And you just mess up a lesbian's hair. Woo! Isn't nature wonderful? Yeah.
Amy. Ellen was young.
That was Amy Walter.
Ellen DeGeneres was very pretty when she was young.
I mean, I had a thing for Ellen DeGeneres.
Before we knew.
Yeah,
I knew we weren't getting anywhere with it.
And I got I got a big wave of disappointment when I found out. Well, I can win you back to my team.
There are women that thought Rock Hudson was the sexiest man around.
That's
and
right.
He was a good-looking man.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're very disappointed, when years later. Although a lot of us knew, kind of figured it out.
Well, I didn't know until he announced it.
There was all these jokes we used to make.
I like him with Doris Day in those Pillow Talk movies. Those are good movies.
Those are good movies. Ross Hunter produced all those films.
They're funny.
And those movies, they did a lot of covering up of the background of Rock Hudson when he appeared in those movies. He was married and he's divorced now, but he's now a swinging bachelor. They did the same with Doris Day because Doris Day was, I think, three times divorced at that point when she was making those films. And what's the old joke? I remember Doris Day before she was a virgin. Oscar Levant said that.
Sandra Dee had the big problem. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
she really was a virgin.
yeah.
I don't know.
So Doris Day, and all these movies you see with Meg Ryan and with Julia.
Now
Roberts
Meg Ryan was great, and
Yeah.
then she messed
projects
around with her lips and ruined her career.
Well, they're good, but all those movies.
She's better now, but she went out of favor. But I think her
she had her day.
her things with Tom Hanks and all were really good. What do you call romantic comedy?
Yeah.
Romantic comedy was a lost art.
Retreads of a lot of these Rock Hudson, Doris Day movies, and guess what?
Sleepless in Seattle, great movie.
But those movies are actually, I think, the Doris Day versions are better than the recent types of films that they make.
Well, remakes very seldom are better. Although
Doris Day was great.
Once in a while, remakes are better. The Bride of Frankenstein. Well, that's not a remake; that's a sequel. But both of those together are great.
Yeah.
And but Dashiell Hammett.
Mm-hmm.
You think of the Maltese Falcon.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming out in 1939 or 40, directed by John Huston, but it had already been filmed about 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
The book, I've got a copy around here. The book was written in the 20s.
Have you ever seen the
I
other?
can't talk because I like Andy Devine.
Did you ever see any of the others? I only saw the.
Yeah, they're really just run-of-the-mill
detective stories.
Yeah, the run-of-the-mill detectives. See, the detective story was popular way back.
Yeah.
Going back to Sherlock Holmes or even Poe.
Yeah.
But they didn't take the film noir look and style didn't take off until Maltese Falcon. Yeah. But they had been churning out detective stories that were like that type of story for a long time. But it was the style that Huston put on it. And some other films.
Like his directing debut or something?
Yeah, but he had written several movies before.
Okay.
He had written A High Sierra, which is a great movie, directed by Raoul Walsh, but it still has the Huston touch. Yeah, High Sierra, fantastic.
That's the one with
and that's I call that a noir movie.
That's the one with G Robinson.
No, it's Bogey.
Bogey
and Ada Lupino and Bogey.
And who?
What? Ada Lupino.
Which movie does he make with G Robinson? Bogey.
Does this look good on there?
Okay. You look fine.
I don't have my glasses on. Bogey and Edward G. Who are you talking about?
Bogey and Edward G. Robinson.
Oh, that's the Hurricane movie.
Hurricane.
Yeah, I can't think of the. I'm very dyslexic tonight. I can't think of any words. I can think of all the pictures.
Do your Bogey. Do your imitation.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we're sitting here down at Key Largo. That's the name.
That's the name.
That's the name of the movie. I had to get into character to find the name of the movie. See, but meanwhile, Eddie G. Robinson shows up playing. Yeah, he's playing the.
Yeah. I'm the rough right here, Shane. Yeah, you're not gonna do anything for me, Shane.
He plays an aging gangster, he called Rocco, which is basically the other end of the career of Rico, which he played back in 1929. Well, all right, you mugs, we're gonna you're getting a little soft, mugs, eh? You're getting so you can dish it out, but you can't take it, Shane. Yeah. Keep talking, Rico. The sound of your voice does my heart good. That's the cop. Yeah. The cop on the phone.
Yeah.
I love that cop.
Yeah.
And he's in a flop house at the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And he says, trace that call. That's the first.
Little Caesar.
Yeah. Little Caesar.
Yeah.
Oh, Rico Vandera. Little Caesar. That's my name. Yeah.
Shane.
Yeah. And the music is hardly anything there at all. End of the movie.
Max Steiner. Probably.
Yeah, well, maybe. Max Steiner's great, but they couldn't mix. They couldn't mix the movie during the. That's why Frankenstein has sound at the beginning, a little bit at the end, and nothing in the middle.
No, sometimes I think when they make a movie with no.
But
sound,
I like it though.
It's kind of the
Dracula's the same way.
So is Executive Suite has no music. The Birds has no music.
Well, it does, but it's electronic.
It's all sound effects, yeah.
All those birds, most of them were done electronically by
Bernard Herrmann.
He did it, yeah. But he
and then there's another and
Ub Iwerks worked on
No
that.
Company for Old Men has no music. They have a lot of sound effects.
Well, sometimes whatever works.
Network has no music,
but Network it doesn't.
Yeah.
Might have some background.
In fact, no. The only
might have some TV.
I know.
It has some TV music.
There's a music for the news show, and that was actually written for the movie. But there's no other music in the whole movie. It's that network.
Well,
how did that not win best picture?
Well, it got a lot of respect.
It got Rocky won all that year.
Wow.
But how many sequels did it make the network?
Almost
everyone dies at the
end. Rocky, whatever. Hey, I'm going to go up on the steps of the Philadelphia Museum. Philadelphia Museum has great steps, right? And my girlfriend here, she's got great. Well, we won't go into
Adrian.
That. Yeah, Adrian. Yeah, she's got gaps and I got gaps. Together we fill gaps. You know what I mean? But we're gonna film the scene up here. I'm the director. See, I'm telling you what to do. And we're gonna play the little music. I'm gonna take the keyboard up on the steps, and I'm gonna do the number. Gonna do the number on the steps, and yeah.
You know, they made a mistake in the movie Rocky,
like
where he ran up the steps and they didn't continue the camera.
Yeah,
and then they show him at the end of the thing in a cutaway, a close of him doing that. And I said, well, they could have got a stuntman to do that. They didn't, but they should have just kept it one continuous take. Sort of like this show. It's all one continuous take.
If you got the star doing his own stuff, film it in all one take.
If I can run up the stairs like he can,
you're going to impress people and win an Oscar for that.
Do you know that you go to Philadelphia, go to that park and go to that museum, which is right next to each other, and you'll see people run up the stairs like Rocky. And
that's what I saw on TV the other day. They're still doing
with the Rocky statue, and then they don't even go. They're going into the museum.
Yeah, they were talking about, are you going to go? Have you ever been in a museum? No.
The Rocky crowd.
It really is a great museum.
It is a wonderful museum.
I want to go up there. I still haven't gotten around. I've been there on the train.
Yeah.
I've stopped. And the train station looked really scuzzy at the time. I think they fixed it up.
But it's Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's Philly. It's Philly. And I like their sandwiches. And
do you know Philadelphia? There's 3 major cities.
Helped Biden win the election.
There's Wilmington, Delaware, Camden, New Jersey, and Philadelphia, and they're all next to each other. 3 different states.
The Tri-City area.
That's a real Tri-City. Yeah.
And the weird thing, Delaware's got one of the weirdest things in all the states.
Yeah.
It's got a circular border.
Yeah.
And they took a compass, and at the top, you look at the close-up of Delaware, sometimes it goes like that, a perfect circle. It's an arc. It's not a complete circle, but it's drawn like with a compass. And there's a
no sales tax.
And corporation is cheap.
Yeah.
But there's a story behind why it got done that way.
I heard a story.
They used to have it on the History Channel.
I heard a story about Delaware that there was this tall building that had all these home offices of all these companies. And you walk into the damn building, and all the offices are empty. They're just mail drops. So all these other companies don't have to pay taxes.
They have one guy sitting behind a desk.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. The man who turns on the computer that runs everything.
I worked for the mafia. I worked for the mafia one time, and had
the boys.
I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did. It was. I'm not going to say who they were. They were good to me. It was a company.
Yeah.
And the guys, I did photograph. I was taking photographs. Yeah. Anyway.
They all look like this.
Well, they kind of look. They had the main guy, the guy that ran the place in one office, and he was all over the place doing stuff. But there was an office next to his. And you go and he would say, give you a note to take to Mr. So-and-so. And there's this guy who was sitting behind a desk. Big clean desk with a telephone, and that was it. Yeah. Absolutely nothing like that telephone. Hand me that telephone up there, and he was sitting there.
Well,
yeah, hold the telephone. You hold the telephone.
Yeah, I hold the telephone.
They don't really objectless. Anyway, it just sits there, and he sits there on the desk, and He's never did anything, but I saw he had a big scar. Yeah. He kind of sit there like that. What he was doing, he was keeping an eye on the operation. If anything came up, he'd make a little call.
Yeah.
And he had a cushy reward job for services rendered earlier on.
20 years in prison, never
Yeah.
squealed.
He was a good, clean hitman as well. Anyway, I'm sure that's what the story was. I can't prove it, but I worked for the mob.
You know why?
And I took pictures.
You know why Italians don't have necks?
Not dirty pictures.
You know why they don't have necks, Italians?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, look at me. Look at me. What are you looking at me for?
Yeah, but a lot of Jews do that too.
Oh, I saw.
There's a joke about that too.
When I went to see Frank Sinatra, the first song he sang, he went like this. I thought that was the coolest thing.
Well, you know, Jimmy Cagney started that.
Yeah, Jimmy Cagney probably got it from Cagney.
It was a pimp on the street in Brooklyn where he grew up.
Yeah.
He used to go, and then when he got a part in the movie, he remembered this guy.
Cagney.
I think he only did it once.
Yeah.
My cousin used to live across the road from him.
Yeah.
In Ulster County, New York. Not Ulster County, but Dutchess County, New York. She had a farm, little horse farm. She was a computer lady.
Yeah.
And across the road was Jimmy Cagney's farm.
Yeah. Did he ever meet him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He one time my cousin
Did he scream at him?
No. He came by in a horse and buggy.
Yeah.
A guy, he had a guy, he had retired and he was painting his pictures and he liked farm life and he had a horse and buggy and he had a man that was riding him around.
Yeah.
And my cousin, her son, was out in front, said, "Oh, hey, it's Jimmy Cagney." And he stopped and he gave him his autograph.
Oh, great.
It was real nice, yeah.
He said,
"Oh, if you want to get in show business, just follow me. If you can keep up with this horse and don't step in the wrong places."
Yeah.
Jimmy Cagney.
You know, Cagney was barely taller than I am.
Oh,
I'm
short
5'4", and he was 5'5".
Kirk Douglas is the same way. Kirk Douglas is like 5'5".
Yeah. So what happened was, a friend of mine told me about this. Cagney, when they first started making movies with Cagney, they put him on a box or something.
Apple box. They call them apple boxes.
And he was yelling and screaming at guys, and they said, "Let's get him off the box. He's too intimidating on the box."
And he looks even better. He's looking up at them, but he's
and actually
like
looking
up. Yeah, he's
looking
like
up at him. He was still intimidating, but a little less so.
He's like a 10-story building played in a hole. See, I'm a 10-story building, but I'm playing it in a hole, and I'm gonna get your butt. Gonna get your butt. See, yeah. But I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy. They can turn around and do a great dance.
Wasn't that good?
Oh,
Dandy, yeah.
And he did another thing where he was with Bob Hope.
The Seven Little Boys.
Yeah.
He played the same part, George M. Cohan, and he played
Eddie Foy.
Eddie Foy.
You know, the real Eddie Foy made an appearance. He's in the movie. He had a terrible lisp.
Yeah.
He was like this.
Yeah.
I'm Eddie Foy.
The Seven Little Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he played another one, Bob Hope, of that mayor of New York.
Yeah.
What's his name? Who was like a real showbiz.
Jimmy Walker.
Yeah, real showbizy kind of guy. I saw a movie of him there. He was kind of like that. I saw
big deal. Yeah.
Well, he was kind of a small guy, but he was.
Well, you're talking about Piero LaGuardia.
No, I'm talking about Jimmy Walker.
Okay.
I saw a newsreel of him, and he had charisma.
They had a famous mayor in New York. I think
didn't look a whole lot like Bob.
After LaGuardia, called O'Dwyer, and he wound up owing a lot of money, and he took after he was mayor, and he wound up hiding out in Mexico.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In fact, you hear a lot of comedians like Bob Hope and stuff making jokes in the early 50s when you see clips of them making jokes about that guy, the mayor of New York. Yeah.
Hey, did he squirrel away his money in banks in New York?
I think there was a lot of corruption.
Got to be careful about that because the Mexican government can just take your property sometimes.
Yeah. We don't need no stinking badges.
We don't need no stinking badges. We don't need no stinking bank slips.
We don't need no
We will take your money. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. We don't need no stinking
Thank you for bringing it down to us, gringo. Yes, we put it to good use.
Yeah.
My Mexican friends are going to be throwing guacamole in my face.
That was directed by John Huston, too. Treasures Here.
Of course.
Yeah. All the great movies with
That
men
was
in
the
them.
first.
With men in them, or John Huston.
That was the first. Yeah, there's hardly any female in there. There isn't any, I don't think. And what's his name? The
He also directed Annie. I
the
mentioned
guy.
Annie.
Who's the kid
Yeah.
that played in the Little Rascals?
Oh, it was the guy who murdered his wife, Robert Blake.
Well, they say, yeah, Robert Blake. He's in it too.
Yeah.
He plays a Mexican kid.
Yeah.
Hey, senor, you want a ticket? Oh, you want a half a ticket? How about a third of a ticket? I don't know, you get
He's the only living person from that movie. You know, Robert Blake, you see in a lot.
That was a great movie.
You know, I hate to say this about Robert Blake if you don't like him, but Robert Blake.
No, I like him.
Robert Blake.
I don't believe he murdered his wife, but I don't know,
they had
maybe
some
he
sort of
slapped
thing.
her
They
around.
think it made his wife had so many people hated her that while he was away from her for a few minutes, some hitman killed her.
Well, believe me, I know that's possible from my marriage. She didn't come quite that close, but I mean,
Do you know it's the only
had a lot
murder
of
trial?
trouble.
It's one of the few murder trials with Robert Blake where the sympathy was with the accused, not the murdered. She was a really scam artist. He only married her. The only
half of that was Gilbert and Sullivan.
yeah.
And I made up the rest.
Oh, you did great.
Well, I had to. I couldn't
variations
remember
of-
I couldn't remember the Gilbert and Sullivan.
Variations of the theme by Sullivan.
Now, this reminds always when I think of Gilbert and Sullivan, I always go back in my mind to my first experience with it. I don't know if you're that way, but you go back to your childhood first experience, and mine was watching Lumpy Branham, Mr. Green Jeans, mouthing to it. When I was just a
Mr.
cabin lad, I did all the work that I ever had. I washed the windows and I scrubbed the floor and I polished up the handle in the big front door. He polished up the handle in the big front door. I polished that handle so carefully that now I am the ruler of the Queen's Navy. He polished that handle so carefully. He is the king of the marine navy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he used to do that. It was funny.
It's greatest music.
And I got into it. Groucho loved.
Yeah.
You know, he sat around at home and listened to Gilbert and Sullivan. That's why his wife left him.
Yeah.
That's what Arthur Marx said.
Yeah.
But anyway, Gilbert and Sullivan was really great, but Lumpy Branham,
Mr. Green Jeans.
Mr. Green Jeans, was very musical. In fact, he was a big arranger in a big band years before Captain Kangaroo.
Yeah.
He was Fred Waring's
And the Pennsylvania.
and the Pennsylvanians, which was a big group back then.
Yeah. Biggest.
You might have forget him now, but I mean, he was big. They were big. He was their arranger.
Yeah.
So he's a very musical guy.
What was it?
Fred Waring and his Pennsylvania.
Heartaches.
I don't remember any of their music, but I remember what they looked like because I did some art.
He invented the Waring
a
blender.
magnet.
I'm not kidding you. He invented the Waring blender.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The brand name.
Well, that's what when those bands went out of favor, they had to get another career.
Yeah.
I mean, Lumpy got a career with Bob Keesham.
Yeah.
Somehow, Bob Keesham was a Marine, ex-Marine, and I don't know how he got started in broadcasting. But anyway, the two got together and says, "Let's make a show.
On the
I will be the captain." He said, "Yes, sir." And I'll go
Well,
up to the barn. I will see you once in a while.
We should do a show for children.
Yeah. I thought we were.
This is a show for children for adults who are still children.
We got a lot of toys. We got our toys right here.
You know, like romper.
You did a great elephant sound the other week. How's that? Yeah, that's good. You can make a living.
No, you
Make a
can't see
living.
my
You
face
got
doing
you
it.
got a
You
giraffe
just have
on
to-
Yeah.
Sharing the seat with all these toys.
It's the wrong continent.
Elephants
That
are from
bird
India.
actually lives in Australia.
Yeah.
Kookaburra
The
bird.
kookaburra.
You went there. Did you hear one? No.
Yeah, I did.
You just say anything.
I ate one.
Oh,
It was delicious.
I'd rather eat the
Had
eggs.
a pouch in it.
The eggs are better.
They lay their eggs and hold it in a pouch and stray. So where's birds?
They sit up in the thing and go. If you watch that movie, the Rounders. No, that was that movie with about Robert Mitchum and and what's her name? And what's his name? Sundowners.
Yeah.
Is one in that.
Deborah Carr.
Deborah Carr.
You know,
and what's his name? The British guy.
Jack Hawkins.
No, the guy that does all the voices.
Anthony Newley.
No. Very great actor.
Yeah.
He used to play a lot of sycophant Roman emperors.
Charles Lawton.
No, on the other one.
Peter Ustinov.
Peter Ustinov.
Yes.
He's in it.
In fact, they're both in Spartacus.
Yeah.
Yeah. They play. They're like almost father and son in that movie. They're so good. They're so good together, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah. And
They play almost. I thought they were homosexual lovers, but he and one of the guys.
Charles Lawton was.
Yeah.
Peter Ustinov wasn't.
But they make up these innuendos about, oh, do you like oysters, and do you like?
No nationality Peter Ustinov was.
I thought he was
Russian.
British.
Well, I mean,
that's
British.
right, Ustinov. Yeah.
Russian and Palestinian. Yeah, it's weird. He's a mixed race performer. He was very talented, though. You know, it was Peter.
Where does he get a name like Ustinov then?
Ustinov is
that's Russian.
It was Russian, yeah. But
you said Palestinian.
I think on his mother's side. But you know that Peter Ustinov and Peter Sellers were one of the few in those days English actors who could do a very convincing American accent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of the time, you can't. You know, we do imitations all the time, but we wouldn't fool most. You could fool your country, but you can't fool the country you're.
Well, no, I can do it when I get into it. I have fooled people from Britain and France.
Yeah. Oh, really? With your accents?
Yeah, I've had Parisians tell me that my accent's very good. Unfortunately, I don't remember the grammar. Il n'y a pas de quoi dans le rue de la cité, elle a plus le puis. So I don't have the words. J'ai besoin de vocabulaire. Le vocabulaire. I need it on a livre, in a book. Put it in a book. I can read it. And I can fool the rest of them. Just don't make me a spy. I'll get shot. I get shot just like that. I say, I am gone. Why do I want to talk this way? Why do I make a fool? I make a fool of myself. I'm such a fool. Did I get the Oscar?
I
let myself go.
That's very
radio.
good. The acting was so good.
Yes.
Almost
didn't have a script.
If you weren't wearing a beret, I would have sworn you were French.
I lived in Montreal and I ate poutine. Poutine. You know they have a joke about poutine. You know what? I know.
Poutine is potatoes and gravy. French fries and gravy.
Very thick French fries and gravy and other cheese. Yeah, that's the muck. All poured on top, real hot, and you put it in. That's a joke about it. You put it in.
And the craziest thing is, I wonder why it never took on in America, because that's kind of that's the kind of junk we love.
That stuff is that stuff is deadly.
Yeah,
especially if you're diabetic. But I used to eat it when the temperature went below zero.
Yeah, you lived in Canada.
I animated in Canada. I lived and animated in Canada, 2 different places, Ottawa and Montreal. Yeah. Montreal, oui, and but that stuff I liked. Only time I ever ate it usually was under sub-zero weather because you need it to burn it. You need heavy burning stuff, And
probably soldiers would love it, even marching into battle or something.
But I much preferred the hole in the wall around the back of the building where the shipbuilders ate for breakfast, and with scrambled eggs, tomato on toast.
Yeah.
Est-ce que tu veux des œufs avec tomate on toasted. Every morning the guy would ask me, des œufs tomate toasted. Good stuff.
I'll have and the coffee.
Yeah. But another strange little tidbit. And you remember I told you when I was in Montreal they were shooting a Jean-Paul Belmondo movie.
That's right. Yeah.
Spy movie out in front of our studio, Pascal Blaise studio down in the front. We were in the old downtown district, the old financial district, and the big old buildings and stuff. And they built a section of the Jean Cartier Bridge, Jacques Cartier Bridge or whatever, which is a huge, multi-ton, metal suspension bridge. It goes across the St. Lawrence River.
Yeah.
Well, they built a section of it right there.
Yeah.
Totally made of plywood.
Yes.
But you wouldn't know it.
Yeah.
It was a wonder to behold because you'd walk to it on this side and they'd painted it. And they'd painted the rust and the what do you call them, rivets and all this stuff and the crisscross things. And then you walk around the other side and it's all these hunks of plywood. Those set builders were brilliant.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff that goes into building. It's a fascinating thing, building sets for movies. And that thing was just totally convincing. And I went down there and got in on it one day, took a break, because they had these big crowds.
Yeah.
They were staging a heist.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's a heist movie where Jean-Paul Belmondo fools everybody on the outside, but he dresses up like a clown, and he ends up robbing the bank.
Yeah.
He and some other guys. And they were doing all these scenes, and I went down there and got in on it, and there was this big hulking guy who was out to get Jean-Claude Belmondo, who was a friend of his, and he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And I was in a scene where he was coming through the crowd, and they did it over and over again. And one time I overacted, and they said, "Hey, you don't act, and don't move us on." Anyway, they shot the scene, but they cut me out.
Yeah.
I finally got a copy of the scene. I don't think they would have. I would have been in there anyway.
I mean,
they shot it several. They shot it several times. But it was a long shot, and he just made it shorter. He didn't need all of that. But so I was a little down because I thought I'd see myself in that movie. Yeah. And then the scene where the helicopters land. Yeah. They have helicopters landing. The camera was pointing back. Yeah. At Pascal Blaise' studio, and there I am in the window watching the helicopter. Yeah, I remember the window, and I think I was wearing this shirt. But anyway. Yeah. Oh, there I am.
So
I'm in the movie.
You're in a French film.
Watching a helicopter.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really make out my face. You can make out my shape.
I was in a movie, and what was neat was on the DVD.
Not that big a deal.
On the DVD, you could put it in French, Spanish, and it's kind of neat seeing me in a scene in Spanish.
Well, I directed.
Angelica Houston was the one who was in the scene with me, and she was speaking in English. Yeah.
I directed and animated some French commercials.
Yeah. Angelica Houston, she's the daughter of who?
John Huston.
We seem to have a John Huston
thing going on. Come here, my dear. I'm going to put you in motion picture.
John Huston is my favorite Jack Nicholson film. Yeah, she is big. My favorite Jack Nicholson film is Prissy's Honor. He's so good. And in fact, the way he dresses, the same way I dress in that movie. Yeah, and I really love Prissy's Honor. I can watch that over and over.
John Huston was very knowledgeable about art and literature and everything. And I noticed one of the things I liked about that movie is art direction. He specifically used as inspiration. There was a great painter who painted mob scenes back in the mid-20th century, and he's really good, and it kind of looks like the Godfather stuff, but it looks even more so. Yeah. It's just kind of dark with the reds and the faces and the eyebrows. And is it Saul Bellows? No.
Saul Bass.
No. Oh. No. I'll have to find his name, but he's a good painter, and he did a famous painting called "The Mobster's Funeral." Yeah. And it's like, it comes out of a movie, but that painting was there first. And you could tell he studied those paintings. Yeah. And then John Huston was a big art collector, and he knew what he was doing.
John Huston, I remember.
John.
He when he was in acting, he acted in a few of his own movies and cameos. And he would, and then he's in the Treasure Sierra Madre.
You're going to have to get along without me. I will not support your.
Yeah, but what's neat about John Huston was that when he acted in other people's movies, he basically just played John Huston. But in Chinatown, he is just so. They use the John Huston character that he plays in every movie acting, and then they just made him like one of the worst villains ever in a movie.
Well, that's Roman Polanski.
Roman Polanski, that trick ending at the end.
Wow. My dear, I'm your grandfather.
And your
with
boyfriend.
me. Oh no, dear, come with me. Forget it, Jim.
Yeah.
It's Chinatown.
Yeah.
That was a weird, very good movie. I would
Yeah.
like to post it. It's hard to get. But I remember my grandmother was this old woman born in the 19th century.
Yeah.
She went to see it,
Yeah.
and I was trying to explain it to her, and she just,
Well,
I don't know.
I still don't understand all that's going on in that
Well,
movie.
it was just such a degradation, morally speaking. The kind of thing that was actually shown on screen.
Yeah.
It would never have been done earlier. And she had a little problem with that, but she went to see it and was trying to understand it.
Yeah.
And I was trying to explain it to her.
Roman Polanski also was in that movie, and he cuts Jack's one of the worst bits of violence at the time I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
Where he just flicked the guy's nostril off, and Jack spent almost more than half the movie with a bandage on his nose.
Yeah, well, fake bandage.
I mean,
You don't
an actor usually doesn't want to wear a bandage.
Well,
on
an actor doesn't want his coat and it doesn't want his nose slit either. But the makeup people.
But I mean, no, I'm saying
makeup people are very, very good.
Well, I'm talking about the character himself.
Yeah.
Jack didn't have a
Well,
bandage.
Mrs. Moray, I got your letter. Yes. And Donovan, what was her name?
Yeah.
What's her name? Yes,
I've seen
Mrs. Moray.
I've seen that movie so many times, and I still learned new things I've seen.
Well, I need to get back and see it again. I tried, like I say, to download it. I only could get sections of it, but it's good.
Yeah.
It's like
there was another film.
Yeah.
There was another film just like it called The Two Jakes, and if you can't understand Chinatown, then you're going to have a hell of a time following The Two Jakes. They never made a third one.
Tell me about it, Jack. Here's Johnny.
I want a chicken salad sandwich.
I don't want it on half bread, half white bread. I want the thick. Just give me the chicken salad and throw away the bread. Easy Rider.
Yeah.
Good movie.
Oh, yeah. So the closest thing I've ever come to that, where, like I said, I made a movie with Angelica Houston, one big woman. You're right. And you know her.
Well, I saw her. I was an extra in that movie. They filmed
Iron Jawed Angel.
She ran by. They wouldn't let you get to know people nowadays, but earlier movies you could get to know the stars. But anyway, she came walking by real fast, and she was up there.
Yeah. Well, you know what weird thing was? Every time they took the camera off her, she was puffing on a cigarette. You know, her damn father died from smoking cigarettes. Did an ad to tell people not to smoke. You watch anything talk show appearance, he's always puffing away. Yeah.
Got emphysema, but I'm gonna keep directing until I die.
Yeah.
And we did that. We did The Dead.
Yeah.
My last film, it takes place in Ireland, a land special to my heart. But I had emphysema. I'm proud. Well, I'm not proud of having emphysema, but I'm proud to say that I continued directing, whether I had the emphysema or not. I kept on pushing onward. Yes, till the bitter end.
The Dead is the only, serious, big budget film made of a James Joyce work.
And it wasn't that big a budget. It was
actually all made out of soundstage in California with Irish actors.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they didn't film anywhere.
It looks like it was done on.
It looks like it, but well, maybe.
Yeah, it's hardly.
Credits
They hardly go outside. I think it's all in the studio.
Yeah, it's all.
There's some
all
snow.
California. The guy himself couldn't move very much, John Huston, so they kept it local. I think Hitchcock's last film, Family Plot, was all done pretty much him sitting.
Well,
down.
it's.
Yeah, he snapped his finger.
He made a joke to Bruce Dern, and he said, "I think we ought to have a town. I have arthritic knees. That sounds like a Western town, a name for a Western arthritic knees. Don't you think so? I have a pacemaker." He was funny. But Family Plot is all shot close to L.A. The exteriors are shot on the hills going up right out of town, and that great car chase and everything. Yeah. But it works great.
Yeah.
But he did cut back a bit.
Yeah.
There's an exterior done in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Which he may have got. No, there's the interior, that cathedral shot.
Yeah.
But Hitch himself lived up there. he had his second home up near. He loved San Francisco.
Yeah.
They had a country home outside of San Francisco. I think they got it when they were shooting Vertigo or something.
Oh yeah.
And the other house he had was along the golf course in Bel Air.
Yeah.
Because it made me feel like I'm back in England. You know? A nice countryside.
Yeah.
Madam and I live simply enough beside the golf course. Beside the golf course, pitching the rough and duff and doing our stuff.
Yeah.
Get caught in the rough.
Did you ever see a Hitchcock movie called, I think it's called Young and Innocent from the 1930s?
Yes!
Where it's that long tracking shot at the
Excellent. Yeah, the minstrel guys in blackface. But it's well worth it because, all right, well, I don't know if you've seen it. I don't want to give away the plot.
Well, it's one of the tells of the guy is shown in a long tracking shot.
And he blinks a lot.
Yeah,
he's the murderer. But I think it's one of the first times he did from the farthest to the nearest.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend it. I do post it sometimes, and they got some very good prints. Young and Innocent.
Yeah. All those 1930s.
Or The Girl Was Young. I think the British title, the original title was The Girl Was Young, but I think it's only released as Young and Innocent.
Yeah. He made a film, Hitchcock, called Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and it was a screwball comedy with Carol Lombard. It's different from all
he did it as a favor for he and his wife were close friends, believe it or not, with Clark Gable and Carol Lombard.
Yeah.
They rented their house, which they later bought, I think. The house I was talking about, but they rented it from Gable and Lombard and became good friends. Yeah. And they had coffee together and dined together. Yeah. And Carol Lombard was a very funny lady.
Oh, yeah.
And she begged Hitch to do a movie for her, and he did it as a favor for her. Yeah. And the only thing I don't like, and he did a very competent job. He's a good, he's a very good comedy director, but he could have done some more Hitchcock touches. Yeah. The set pieces. They were riding together on a not a roller coaster, but one of those airplane things that hangs in a amusement park where you're whirling around. Yeah. And they're having a big discussion, a love discussion, funny. Yeah. And the thing is whirling around, and all he used was a rear projection. Yeah. But he could have gotten into angles and special effects, and it would have been hilarious. Yeah. I wish you see, the thing, what I'm talking about here is in comedy, you generally do not want to go in with the camera too much and do wild, crazy angles because that detracts from the comedy.
That's why we don't do it.
Yeah, that's right. No, we can't afford it. But the comedy works best when you stay pretty much with what they call the proscenium arch, which is this. On the stage, you have an arch. Yeah. And it goes somewhere. Anyway, and all the action takes place within that, and you usually, for the most part, keep the camera back, but it's a subtlety to it all. Chaplin rarely broke that. He knew what he was doing, but he knew what was right for his character, because Chaplin would be moving all over the place, so it's better to leave the camera pretty much in one place, and you're following him with all his balletic movements, like W.C. Fields said, he's a goddamn ballet dancer. But Chaplin knew what he was doing, and he was old school from the early days of filmmaking, but it worked perfect. But he could do some interesting shots sometime, and later in Limelight and other movies. A
lot of stunt doubles in Limelight.
Maybe so.
That dance, I mean, those.
Well, no, that's a trick shot.
Claire Bloom never dances in there. The ballerina.
But he does roll the roller skates. Yeah. When they were on roller, or is that in modern time? Anyway, he's on roller skates and on the edge of this floor that drops off. But that was just a special effect. Yeah. They superimposed that, but it looked great. And but Keaton was very cinematic.
Yeah.
And he was very in an early way, early on, and he'd do all these things. But it worked better for his character and made his character pay off because he had the stone face. Yeah. And his character was kind of pitted against the physical world. It was always Buster Keaton versus a locomotive. Buster Keaton versus a building. Buster Keaton versus the Grand Canyon. That's what worked for Keaton.
Oh, yeah.
But Charlie would just stand on the street corner.
Train.
And Charlie Chaplin would just, on the street corner, and he'd have you convulsed with laughter there, or in a eating soup in a restaurant, and the big guy, what's his name, Max, the guy with the mustache was always his big heavy.
Oh, that guy, yeah.
They always had a big great big heavy.
Yeah.
Keaton had his, and Charlie had his.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of The Immigrant. Have you ever seen the movie The Immigrant? Yeah.
Seen them all.
I made a soundtrack to that.
Yes. Very good.
You can't hear it. I have to digitize it.
Yeah.
But one of these days, I had a bunch of silent tapes, and I helped teach myself video editing by playing with these and adding soundtracks, and then later on editing video. But they were fun.
Yeah.
And I used a lot of Franz Liszt piano music.
Yeah.
And other Chopin, but mostly Franz. I got everything I needed from Franz Liszt. I got a CD, and it worked great with Chaplin.
Yeah, the Franz Liszt music almost sounds like the Warner Brothers music, Carl Stallings music.
Well, they used it.
I mean, they
used it. They used Franz Liszt.
That was pre.
Well, that
Carl
was
Stallings stuff.
Well, that was Fritz Freeling's fault because Fritz Freeling had a thing for the Second Hungarian Rhapsody, which I can't play too well. See, I gotta practice. I used to could do a lot of it.
That's how you get to Carnegie Hall.
Yeah. No, if you know what cab to take, it's really not that hard.
Just send me there. I'll take the easy way. Yeah. Oh, speaking of what to do in comedy, I've been on other shows, Gorgeous George show and stuff, where we had to dress up as women, and there was always a problem.
That's what attracted you to that show.
Yeah, but I tell you what, I felt like I said, I felt like Bugs Bunny, and I figured out something.
What did George feel like?
But this is the thing: is that a lot of guys, when they put on women's clothes, they think that they're beautiful women, that they're just a beautiful woman that happens to be a man. And I said, no, that's not funny. To be a good drag performer, you have to be an ugly man dressed up in women's clothes. You're supposed to look like that. You're not supposed to look like Marilyn Monroe. You're supposed to.
When you're young, sometimes you can pull it off, and I did. Yeah. I didn't mean to, but I was in a drag show done at the Episcopal Church. Yeah. My friend Lynn Horton, God bless her with all her talent and entrepreneurial je ne sais quoi. She put on a show of cabaret for the
play cabaret or the musical or just a cabaret.
Who do you call the people in the church? The congregation.
The congregation.
We put on in the parish hall where they put on a show. She had the cabaret soundtrack, and we mouthed, we acted to it. And so, the opening scene with Joel Grey, even the orchestra is beautiful. Yeah. She had us guys, a bunch of us guys, all get dressed up. We were kind of forced into, they just threw the rope around us and said, get in here, and all the her sisters were doing us up. And it was hilarious. Yeah. Most of the guys looked hilarious. But then later on, Lynn and I were looking at my dad took photographs, and I was down at the end of the chorus line.
You were a good-looking woman.
She said, "You look good." And I looked at her, and I said, "I looked like Jackie Kennedy."
You look like...
Yeah, and I had the hair, and it was a weird feeling. It actually gave me a thrill.
A lot of women...
It did. It really did give me a strange thrill.
A lot of men... a lot of drag... If you notice anything...
Sex is wild.
About comedy and dress and drag. You had people like Milton Berle and Flip Wilson and who else? Benny Hill.
I'm going to kill you.
You had Monty
Milton
Python,
Berle.
all dressed up as women, but they all looked like ugly men dressed as women. That was what made them funny.
But he looked very funny. I want to kill you.
The gay performer, the gay drag
Well, there are
performers,
drag queens
and
that
they look
really-
exactly like Liza Minnelli or Goldie
Yeah.
or Marilyn Monroe or Dolly Parton and stuff.
I had
And
the-
they look a little too much
I
like
had,
them.
I had the weirdest experience at the pool the other day.
Yeah.
These kids came jumping over to me and said, "Oh, you're on TV, aren't you?" Oh, well, you're on TV. And, yeah, you're RuPaul.
RuPaul.
Here I am, very hairy body, swimming.
You know that RuPaul,
I work out pretty good. And anyway, he called me RuPaul, and I didn't know what.
RuPaul is actually a better looking woman than a man.
Yes, it is. And he's pretty funny. He used to have. I used to watch that talk show he had.
Yeah.
It was right funny.
Yeah. So I always make it a point. Always, anytime I'm trying to be one of the greatest comedy performers ever, because whenever someone tells me to do something, you or anybody, I always say, "How do I make this funny?" So I'm still learning.
And if I give you a bump, that's me telling you did good, kid.
I did good.
But
I
I've been trying to make this. Keep talking. I wanted to make this machine do a rim shot,
Yeah.
and
You look really dashing in your scarf.
keep talking, Stanley. We want to make the people happy out there.
Oh, by the way, this tie is. You mentioned Picasso. I always like to showcase
That
ties
is a
here.
Picasso.
No, you know what it is?
Derived,
I bought this.
It's derived.
It's a
from,
fake Picasso
Oh, I know.
because it was
What I'm
in the
saying
style of
It's
Picasso.
a bunch of graphic artists usurping his style.
Yeah, because I bought it.
This thing by drawing a woman's profile there and
Yeah.
then another. That's an old
But
Picasso.
the funny thing is that I
it's
bought
a
this.
simple move.
I bought this at the Prado
He was
in the gift shop.
That's a great museum.
Yeah,
in Spain, right?
in Madrid. And then the craziest thing was that the Prado was they had
Which one is the greater piece of art? I think I am because I'm perfect.
They had the Picasso, a real Picasso work, looking like this. It was 3 times more the price of the tie than this one, and this one I thought was a better looking one. So if you think it's a Picasso, it looks like a Picasso.
I got a thing about Picasso. I don't dislike Picasso. I took art history and I learned to appreciate him and all that. But the Gestalt or the thing about in public in the idea the whole of Picasso and the multitudinous monetary worth that they play, it always made me mad because it's like the Emperor's New Clothes. Everybody got on to, and he did create Cubism. The first one he did was a really bad painting, La Belle Dame's d'Avignon or something, and it's look, you can tell he didn't quite get it right.
He was working through it.
Yeah. And then other people like Juan Gris took Cubism and made a beautiful rendered thing. And Picasso did beautiful things too, but it's still a rather simple thing. It's kind of a cartooning thing that you turn. I do doodles like that all the time, but he made them into paintings.
This is almost like Picasso,
but
I mean this in a good way.
Wow, people don't pay for cartoons anymore. That one's not quite right yet. I need to make his brow lower and his nose more.
You gotta get used to it.
Gotta get used to it.
Gotta
I just got used to drawing.
in with the new.
I just finally got down. Trump was hard to draw.
Yeah.
Because I didn't.
You get the hair right.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah. And he's got to have a little mouth and a hand gesture which looks like a zero, and it's just perfect. It's going to be perfect. And I kid you not.
You go on my Facebook page, you'll find a picture of me and Biden when he was vice president.
You met him?
Yeah, I met him. He's the only president I really met. I actually had a conversation with him. I mean,
it
was a big crowd. Don't think that he lingered. He basically said, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I said, "Hey, it's so great to be here. I'm going to vote." Then he went to the next guy, and then because he was still there. I said to someone, "Get a picture, get a picture."
I saw Barack Obama.
I'm in the same picture. Yeah.
Barack Obama in a bus, which was basically a silhouette. And
Did you meet him?
And I know Tim Kaine, whatever
I saw
that
Barack Obama when he was president. He came to
means.
running for re-election.
I've met
Same time I saw Biden 2012.
Warner, our
Yeah.
Senator Warner.
Yeah.
I've drawn caricatures of him. I did a big poster.
Senator Taylor. Yeah.
No, Warner.
Oh, that Warner. Yeah.
The one who's there now.
Yeah. The one, not Mr.
What
Elizabeth
is
Taylor.
it about in Virginia and the name Warner? It's always
Yeah.
Warner's popping up.
The Warner Brothers.
Yeah. They're not in Virginia. But
Then-
JL will hear of this. Daffy Duck had a special relationship with JL.
You know, Warner Brothers was my favorite studio growing up because they had the Bugs Bunny cartoons and all the gangster movies.
Yeah, I like the Shield. I like the.
Yeah. Well, that was good too. I mean, that was good. You know, it's weird. A lot of Warner Brothers films they start with as time goes by as their opening. When they show that Shield, they show the Warner Studios, and then they show the.
Bum 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 da 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 da.
Yeah,
They run that into the ground. It is a great motion picture, but they do run it. Yeah, my cousin gave me 2 books about the making of Casablanca, and he thought I would really like them. They're good, but I mean, it's like fan-based stuff. I don't like fan-based movies. So they're selling it to fans, and they have a few good facts in there, but not.
I can talk at length about Casablanca. Every time I see it, like
it is kind of a perfect movie.
Yeah, there's scenes in it like with Ingrid Bergman. I think she's playing the 2 boyfriends, Bogey and Victor Laszlo, against each other, and she's almost villainous in certain scenes. And then the next time I see it, she's fine, and I feel she's an innocent person.
Well, you know, it did suffer. The storyline suffered for a while. They had to figure it out in editing.
Yeah.
They had a tricky. There's a lot of flashback to Paris. We'll always have Paris, but who knows what it means?
Yeah.
You know, it was a little bit tricky in those flashbacks.
One of the most famous scenes.
But they explain it all enough. And then I love just like Woody Allen, they wrap it up with that airplane.
Oh yeah, at the end. Yeah, Play It Again, Sam.
That's where, I love that movie.
He actually has the ghost of Humphrey Bogart telling him how to act around women.
What's his name? Lacey.
Jerry Lacey.
Jerry Lacey.
He did it on stage too. Yeah. And so did Woody. But you know, there's in Casablanca. What I remember was a friend of mine said David Hasselhoff is a big popular singer in Germany.
Yeah,
and
he
I
was.
said, he was. He sang at the Berlin Wall, and I said, but why is he so popular in Germany? What songs does he sing that make him popular in Germany?
He sings good and he looks like a Nazi.
Yeah, well, you know, my friend said. I said, what type of songs does David Hasselhoff sing that makes him popular in Germany? And he said, the Horst Wessel song, which is a Nazi folk song.
Well,
and then I said,
it's a German folk song.
Yeah.
Well,
then I said, no, it's but the lyrics are about a martyr of the Nazi cause.
There's one Nazi song that I actually love.
Deutschland über alles.
Well, that's actually the old hymn by Haydn.
Yeah, Haydn. Yeah.
Which is we sing that in church.
Yeah.
At the Episcopal Church we don't say Deutschland über alles. We say God has created it like a covering. Dun dun dun. It's beautiful. Yeah, Haydn wrote that, and they incorporated it, but that song in Cabaret, where they're at that beer house out
Tomorrow Belongs to Me.
Yeah,
yeah,
that is a stirring song.
Yeah, and that
Tomorrow belongs to me, the stag in the forest. Dun, 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 dun.
That's that
really
song.
Makes you want to join the party. And that's the power of good music.
They're written by 2 gay Jewish guys, Fred Ebb and John Kander, who also wrote New York.
Oh, so it wasn't an original song.
It's all the music.
But it's good.
It's good. All the songs in Cabaret is good.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
You know what I noticed about Cabaret? I can tell you about stuff. So anyway, my friend was telling me. So anyway, a friend of mine, David Hasselhoff, he said, so I said, the Horst Wessel song, how does that go? And nobody knew how it went. Well, listen to this. You can hear it, and it's in Casablanca. when the Germans are
when they
singing,
stand up,
and
Conrad Veidt stands up.
starts singing it, and then Victor Laszlo goes and says, "Play the Marseillaise," and then they all sing on top of each other,
and then they start singing Deutschland, Deutschland.
No, they sing the Horst Wessel song.
No. At first, they're sitting around with beers singing that.
Yeah.
Because they're just having beers.
Yeah.
And then he says, play the Marseillaise. And then I think they counter it with Deutschland, Deutschland.
Yeah. But the Marseillaise wins out because there's more people singing.
Well, there wouldn't be any motivation for them to get up and counter the Marseillaise with a Horst Wessel song. Yeah. It's got to be the other way around.
Yeah. Now, what happened was, some people say that is the most stirring moment in American cinema history.
Well, certainly in the central part of the 20th century.
Yeah.
Each time has
war was still going on.
Each time has its moments. Yeah. It's and then with Keith and Laurie and Sidney Greenstreet swatting his flies. Yes, I'm over across the street in the blue Parrot. I'm your competition.
That's a good.
Yeah. Oh, can we? Am I going with you? I want to go to Cairo. Well, I can certainly see the Russian's hand in this. Yes, there it is.
He's barely in Casablanca, Peter Lorre.
He was
basically just a walk-on. Yeah.
Oh, he's a little more than that.
He's arrested.
Yeah, but he has a pretty good little part for a while.
Yeah.
And then Sidney Greenstreet was a stage actor before Maltese Falcon. Yeah. And then he had a good run. He was up in years. Yeah. But he had a good run. They had even did some cheap Sidney Greenstreet, Peter Lorre movies to capitalize on it, that are kind of badly written, but nicely photographed.
Yeah.
So you don't care. I don't care. I got paid.
Yeah.
What do I care? I get paid.
The Cabaret.
The poor actor.
A friend of mine told me that was his favorite movie, and I saw it. I didn't really think too much of it. And no, I didn't think too much of it when he told me that.
Cabaret.
And then the years, and then after he told me that, I went to see I watched it on DVD again years later.
Yeah.
It's a remarkable movie.
Who directed that?
Bob Fosse.
That's right.
He's good. I mean, and that character that Joel Grey plays. It might be one of the greatest supporting parts ever in a movie.
Well, I don't like superlatives. I hate superlatives. So he's the greatest. This is the greatest.
Mesmerized.
There are many greats, and they're all different.
Every year there's greats.
I mean, if I'm watching a Buster Keaton movie, I don't want to think about Joel Grey. Yeah. But if I'm watching Joel Grey, I don't want to think about Buster Keaton. Joel Grey is the greatest I've ever seen while I'm watching Joel Grey. But if I'm watching Buster Keaton or Charlie Chaplin or Imogen Coca. Imogen Coca is very funny.
Did you know that Joel Grey is the only living...
They're all different.
Only living actor that was in the Yiddish theater that's still performing now. And he's like... Well,
he was in the Yiddish... What Yiddish theater? In New York?
In New York, yeah.
Oh.
Well, all those guys are dead now.
Well, that carries through.
Yeah.
One of these days, I'm going to get a magnifier so I can read these names. I can't see what I'm reading. I know about... whatever.
Joel Grey's daughter went on Dancing with the Stars with Jennifer Grey. She was also in Dirty Dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Filmed up here in the Valley of Virginia. Yeah. And then she got a nose job like an idiot. I mean, she looks like a fantastically beautiful nobody. I liked her nose. I like big nosed women because I don't have a very big nose, and I'm attracted. I'm kind of like Bill Clinton. Remember that woman he was attracted?
You have a pug nose.
I hope it's not pug.
Every time you tell a lie, it gets smaller.
Yeah, that's
right. Your nose is fine.
Well, it's but I always wanted a big one, big nose. But they Jennifer Grey had a great nose, and she was very sexy, and that's a very good movie. I don't remember who directed that.
Dirty Dancing, famous choreographer.
It was filmed in the Valley of Virginia up here.
It takes place in the Catskills, and it was filmed.
I know, but it was filmed. It
was filmed here. Yeah.
I used to go to the Catskills back in the old days because my uncle lived up there, and we would pass some of these Jewish places with very big, long names, like
singers.
Grossinger Finkelstein. It was all in this big antique building. We went in an antique shop. It was in one of these old New England buildings in a little town. And this huge sign, Grosswassen Finkelstein in Heiden, and I was, whoa, that was my first experience really knowing about Jews that weren't in the Bible. I remember. Yeah. And then my friend, who's kind of my mentor, Mr. Kalman, Charles Kalman, wonderful man from here in Richmond, a commercial artist who was my mother's client. My mother kept his books. Yeah. And he used to come over. He brought us a fruitcake every Christmas, and we used to go over to his studio, and he was very good. He was like a mentor. And I was a guy with a Dutch name with a Jewish uncle instead of a Dutch uncle. And he was a wonderful man. Yeah. He may still be living. Yeah. Mr. Kalman, I don't want to call you Charles. You're always Mr. Kalman to me. Yeah. Hey, Charles. I hope you're doing good. And he was kin to Liz Marks.
That's right. Oh, Liz Marks. Yeah. Who cast us in movies.
And my dad, Liz Marks's father had a store, a business furniture store, Morton Marks. Yeah. Was downtown. Yeah. And my dad did some photography work. Yeah. Through Mr. Kalman for them. Yes. And I remember we were taking a picture of a lamp here in this house. We brought home one of Mr. Marks's lamps. Yeah. We need to do a product shot. Yeah. And I was helping my dad. Yeah. Here's a lamp. Nothing very exciting. But you have to take lamps very seriously when you're taking their photographs. Yeah, they don't smile. Yeah. Lamps. They light up.
It's hard to take a picture of anything compelling that doesn't have a face on it.
Yeah. So I was always drawing one on. Dad said, "No, you can't do that. You can't I had the magic marker. Yeah. Can he do that?"
Wow. Well, we're almost at the end. Is there anything to play us out? Some patriotic political music. Because of the big day, we have a new president. Oh. No more.
Hey, whoopee.
The Stars and Stripes forever. Very good. This is the Van Allen's Attic, a 2-part episode.
Yeah, hope you caught that.
Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back again.
We have technical difficulties, but we tend to
fix them.
Bumble our way through them. Yes.
Thank you for watching.
It's in HD.
Yes.
He.
You're in HD, not me.
Oh. Wait a minute. How does that work?